Business refused to refund $40. The courts order him to pay $230. Story time. Last September, my wife had planned a wonderful Father's Day present for me. Father's Day is in September in Australia. This was to be my first ever Father's Day as a new dad. So to mark the occasion, my wife had arranged to have our daughter's face laser etched onto a dog tag. However, the day before Father's Day, she received the item back and it was, shall we say, subpar, so she came to me and showed me my present early. Now I've had some experience with shitty retailers before and remembered to always come prepared when disputing the quality of any goods and services. So I set my phone to record all audio and approached the retailer. I explained that my wife was upset at the quality of the engraving and rightfully so. I requested a refund and was immediately met with resistance. To begin with, they blamed the quality of the photo we provided. Then when I disputed that, they said that laser engraving doesn't do depth very well and some faces can end up with some shadows missing. End of conversation. They refused a refund and threatened to call security if I didn't leave. The engraver is located in a mall that I also happen to work in. My wife and I left. We straight away left a less than glowing review on their Google page. This was met with accusations of us being unreasonable and threatening violence. Ours was not the only review to which they had this response. They informed us that the matter had been passed on to the local police and that a restraining order had been applied for. We immediately called all local police stations and were delighted to hear that they had never heard of the company in question. After some thought, and me being the stubborn bastard that I am, I decided to forward the matter on to the local small claims tribunal. A month or so passed and our day in the tribunal had arrived. We honestly weren't expecting the engraver to show up. But lo and behold, there he was. At a civil claims court. In camo pants and a hoodie. We met in a room with a mediator, who told us that it may not be worth chasing a $40 refund from someone who is in short, a dickhead. She warned that it may end up costing more than the service to begin with. But, as mentioned before, I am a stubborn bastard. We pushed forward, opting to go to hearing. This is when we heard some marvelous news from the engraver. Oh, I'm not prepared to go to hearing today, I haven't got any of my evidence. Ding ding ding. We went to a hearing that day. The registrar ruled in our favor and issued a notice of payment. The business was to pay us $40 within 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, no payment. No surprise. During this time, I had been communicating via email with the holder of the engraver's lease, who, in response to my complaint among many others, had decided to terminate the lease, effectively kicking the engraver out of the mall. My man. While the engraver was organizing a new venue for his business, I had filed a motion for a writ for levy of property, meaning the local sheriff was able to enter his premises and relieve him of merchandise to the value of the refund plus court fees, now totaling $139. I informed the engraver, asking him if he would like to settle like a reasonable person or have the sheriff pay him a visit. He was not a reasonable person once the writ had been issued. The fee then increased to $225. All I had to do was wait. And wait I did. Until March 13th this year, when the sheriff finally attended his new business premises. He was offered an ultimatum. Pay the fee, or have merchandise repossessed. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The man paid. He was stubborn for 6+ months over a $40 refund, only to be down $225 plus $5 interest. But that's not how the law works. TLDR. Got refused $40 refund over poor laser engraving. Ended up receiving $230 after court process. Now to the comments. That dog tag is horrible, it made the kid look scary. I'm glad you put them in their place. That dog tag is fuel for my nightmares. This is nothing. I visited OP once and the baby levitated and started screaming at me in Latin. That's not how the law works. After a court order against him, lol. That's not how the law works. Man who found out that is indeed how the law works. Famous last words. Ooh. Love all the images. made me laugh during the story even more at this grown man's stupidity. I hope you kept that engraving tag so you can show off your zombie baby on Halloween. Zombie? That's a baby Darth Vader under the helmet. Someone better Photoshop units before I get home. You're burying the lead on this title. At first, I was like, $230 is not ProRevenge. Then I was like, you got him evicted from his storefront and the sheriff stopped by his new store, presumably during business hours, to relieve him of the money needed to repay the debt. All ProRevenge right there. He thought he could get away with it. But the OP showed him he was gravely mistaken. Wish I was witty enough to respond to this with a good pun. Username checks out. Exactly why people continue to do this shit. Accountability is a joke. When you're being told by a mediator to let it go and just let the guy screw you, there is a problem. I admire you and your tenacity. And tuck that dude, I'm sure he'll continue to be an absolute shit person. You'd get better quality using a flashlight and a magnifying glass. Hold my scone. Laser engraving is way better than what the vendor said, and it's true as I have experience with it. OP replied, oh definitely. I've seen better work from that vendor. He just didn't want to admit fault. But I am persistent, with very little regard for the worth of my time. I am persistent, with very little regard for the worth of my time. You, my friend, are a dangerous person. Well. You went for gold and got it. They said that laser engraving doesn't do depth very well and some faces can end up with some shadows missing. In other words, the product I'm selling is very shitty, and that's why we won't give a refund. If you can't engrave a particular picture, you just don't do it. You don't do it poorly and charge for it anyways. I know laser engraving is better than that, I'm just deconstructing that particular argument. Well, he charged you $40, it probably cost him a lot less to make it, so if he had refunded your money, he might have only been out $20, instead of $230. He probably would have been out like $2 to $3 for the tag and a small portion of the cost for the laser engraving device, but not much more. /asshole tax. You sir are going to continue to be a great father. Your wife got you the stubborn man's version of a gift that keeps on giving. Face laser etched onto a dog. WTF. Tag. Oh thank God. That's why he sued. It wasn't on the dog like expected. The SpongeBob meme really did elevate this revenge to a new level, 10/10. And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for us meddling kids. Please tell me you texted him that SpongeBob meme after the sheriff gave him a visit. He did. Hey man, I've got a laser cutter through work. I'd be happy to redo one free of charge, could send you a couple if you wanted. I'm in New Zealand so shipping wouldn't be too terrible. Slide into my DMs. The Google review where he lied and accused you of threatening violence. You should have amended your original review and provided a link where you make the complete audio recording of your initial visit with the vendor available, thus proving him a liar. Sounds like your wife gave you a great gift, because I could feel your joy of ducking with that guy. Not blaming the mediator. Everyone knows it's often better and encouraged to just walk away. Chalk it up a loss. Duck that. It shouldn't be hard to make people do the right thing after they have let you down not doing the right thing, because you expected it from a business transaction, or just a human one.